No more pie in the hole. There's step number one. It's no longer a pie hole. It now becomes a gateway to health. Now point to it and say, this is my gateway to health. Now, guard the gate. Now, what does that mean? If I could go down and I could start taking tissue samples on your tongue all the way down, start all the way through the alimentary tract, all the way through the digestive system, all the way down to the anus, and I took samples, I would notice that there is a specific tissue. You don't need to know this word, but it's epithelial lining. It's a lining. It's a barrier. Got it? In that barrier, there are lymphatic tissues. They are guards, sentinels. They are watching. There's different cells in there that are protecting. If something's in there that's not supposed to be in there, immediately they report over to that immune system. That immune system says, aha, and it sends out a barrage of armies of macrophages and T cells and B cells and T lymphocytes. You don't even need to know that. Even got killer cells. You'll remember that one, though, won't you? Killer cell. Why? Because it kills bad stuff. And it will release those killers and send them down to annihilate and destroy whatever's trying to come against that body. Got it? Now, if you look at it in the gut, right here, looking through the digestive system, we call it GALT. G-A-L-T. Gut-associated lymphatic tissue. Now, everybody got that? So if I go up in the nasal cavity, where another gate is, where I breathe the breath of life in my body, and I start taking tissue samples all the way down to the lungs, guess what I would find? Lymphatic tissue, the same guards in place, the same security system to report to the immune system. We call that the NALT, nasal-associated lymphatic tissue. Got it? How many people are glad you live in an earth suit and you got skin over your bones? Be a little messy and sloppy without it, right? Praise the Lord. Hard to worship on that, right? You got it? So if you have skin, guess what's in that skin? That barrier that separates, keeps the outside out and the inside in. There is lymphatic tissue. Same system in place, surveillance, that if something tries to come through that skin that doesn't belong, it reports to the immune system and boom, you get an immune response. And so we call that, guess what it's called? The salt. The Bible says we're the salt of the earth. We're the sentinels of the earth, the guard. Anyway, I don't have time to go into that revelation right now. So here we are. The fourth part is what? Blood-brain barrier. It's the barrier around your brain. So I guess you could call it BALT. Right? We'll call it BBB, the blood-brain barrier. Got it? Now, all of these have lymphatic tissue. All of them produce immune responses. And they all respond to that response. It's important you understand that. Next thing I got to talk about, I'm going to throw a word on you. Cytokine. Say cytokine. Cytokine is any number of substances that are secreted by certain cells of the immune system and have effect on other cells. Okay? Now, what does that mean? That means it's a chemical messenger. It's a little protein messenger that if someone in your body, one of those little cells in there detects something in your body that doesn't belong there, he sends a message. That message is a cytokine. It's a little protein thing, and it goes over to the immune system. The immune system says, aha, I have decoded it like a message. Takes that protein, then it responds by saying, okay, I'm going to make a chemical. I'm going to send cells, whatever it needs to dispatch against your army. You understand how it works now? That's what a cytokine is. I'm going to keep building as we go. So there's two types of immunity you're born with. One's humoral, one's acquired. One you're just born with, and that's how you can stay alive. But how many people know when you grow, you start getting exposed to more and more germs? So your body, every time it whips a germ, it builds an immunity toward it, right? I mean, you say, always telling the kid, don't jump in the dirty water, Let the kids swim in the dirty water. I'm from Orlando, Florida. We had lakes. We didn't have swimming pools. You understand? At least we didn't. So we would swim in the bottom. We'd get down in the bottom, all that muck. And every time, have you ever been in a lake when you put your foot down? Right? So there we are, pulling along the bottom, holding our breath. And everybody's trying to go the farthest, to see if they hold their breath the longest. You'd come up, man, you had mud and weeds all up in your hair. You'd come up in the middle of cattails. Looking around trying to, you ever get lost when you're underwater, don't know where you are, pop up in a cattail bed, Can you imagine the protozoa, the amoeba, the parasite, all the stuff that was on it, going up every gate, man, I'm telling you. You're slurping, you're coming up, snot, right? So you are a ball of cytokines at the moment, you understand? Red alert, right? And cytokines are bleeding over through your system saying, help, 911, right? So your immune system's over there and it just sends this barrage of impulses, boom. Immediately it says, okay, this defender, that defender, this defender, and it starts developing chemicals called antibiotics And these antibodies then are made in a little factory in your body, and it's called your internal pharmacy, basically. I'm going to give it to you in lay terms. And then it releases them and begins to kill those substances. Now watch this. So the next time that bug comes in your body, when that cytokine, the dendrite cell, says, oh, you don't belong here, one of those guardian cells, and says, hey, sends that cytokine over to the immune system, says, we have an invader. There's already a chemical in the computer. And all you have to do is dispatch it. So it kills it before you get sick. That's called immunity. Now, when you have something developing, you start getting a cold or chills, and there's a bug in your body, and you take an antibiotic. Oh, it's runny nose, just give them an antibiotic. What you do is the antibiotic kills that microorganism. It does. But your body never develops an immunity. It happens before that stage. Got it? Why is that important? Because after a while, the bug builds an immunity to the antibiotic. Not your body's, the prescribed ones. Got it? So now you have a bug that's immune to the drug, and you have a body that's not immune to the bug. That's a real problem right there. And it's cost many people their lives. So I don't believe in just handing out, antibiotics. Do you know once you've taken the antibiotic, it changes your inside of your intestine forever? I don't know if you know that. It's a permanent change.
That's right.
By the way. If you've taken a round of antibiotics, it takes 1 year, you hear me? 1 year of probiotic supplementation to correct it. Some people think, well, I took a bottle or two, I'm fine. You got to take it for a year to reestablish normal flora in your gut, the good bacteria. So I'm for medicine when it's necessary, when we've done everything else we know to do. It's the last measure. We've got to do it. Absolutely. Pull out the big guns. But I don't need a 357 to waste a gnat. You got it? It's just the way I believe. And so when you understand that these immune systems in your body, every one of these pathways, you got a little thing called dendritic cells. Now, I want you to picture this. Even if you don't remember the name, you'll remember the visual. They're like little octopuses. And they're going through. One like that, too, I think. I can't do that when I'll fall, but they're all working. You got it? Okay, and I'm this little dendritic cell. And I'm wiggling through. I'm feeling through the linings. If food comes through, I'm feeling through the food. I'm checking everybody to make sure they're past. It's like being patted down at the airport when you're going through, right? It's just a lot going on in there. You understand? Same with the airways. No matter what part of your body, it's little dendrites. You're going to be laying there sleeping tonight going, why did he do that? I can't get that out of my head. And so so when these dendritic cells come through, let's just say, anybody here ever had the flu? I mean, that's not a pleasant thing to have the flu, but we've all had it, right? So you get the flu, what happens? And you get the chills. Oh, man, then you feel bad. Oh, then you're nauseated. And so here you are, you're feeling bad. So the cytokines start releasing. The dendritic cells say, the flu virus right there. He feels around and finds it and says, so it spits out that cytokine. That cytokine goes all the way over to the immune system. Immune system says, red alert, boom, send the chemicals down, the antibodies down that we have in storage. I'm sending some killer cells, all those macrophages, they're on the way now. Here we go. Here comes the army, right? So they get down there, man, it's chaotic because now that flu's really taken off. It started out with chills. Now you're bucking. You ever had the bucking like, oh. And you're laying there, right? Snot out of both nostrils now, and you're sitting there shaking your teeth. Right? Am I the only one that's ever had that? Isn't it awful? It's hideous. Everything in your body hurts. Your brain hurts. You're just sitting there hurting. Okay? It's a mess, man. They're on site. Everybody, it's chaos. Anybody ever been on a war site or watched a war movie? Man, it's hectic, man. It's crazy. So here the dendritic cells are, and all these other helper cells are trying to tag these cells. Like, okay, if you get an X on you, you're going down, okay? So he's like, X on you, X on you, X on you. And let's just say that in the middle of that process, you were thinking, I got to get a little something on my tummy because this nausea is just wearing me out. And so in the South, we like potato soup. Anybody here eat potato soup? Yeah. So you eat a little potato soup because it's soothing for the soul, right? So you drink that potato soup, and now you feel worse than you did before you ate it because you got a fever. Now you just fed a fever, right? And so the war's going on, and here comes that potato. Minding his own business, waiting to be digested. And it's crazy down there, man. I mean, it's all out war. Bugs, man, we're fighting bugs, and all of a sudden, there's a potato. Just get him too. He gets an X. So here's Mr. Potato Head, right? Swimming around. And now he gets blasted. Yeah, knocked off Potato Head. See, just because it got coded wrong. And then because it's so hectic, man, it's even putting X's on the gut lining. And so the gut lining, they're just blowing it up, tearing it up. The first thing when healing starts is inflammation comes. Cut yourself, it inflames. Sprain your ankle, it inflames. So you have this inflammation which causes more damage. All of the fallout and debris from the cells causes oxidation, which is internal rust, and it starts causing damage. That's not a good scene, is it? No. So you feel like yuck. So finally, maybe a week or two later, you're over all that. There you are. 6 weeks later. And you decide, well, I'm hungry. So you go into the restaurant, you say, it's kind of cold out. I think I'll have a bowl of potato soup. You're feeling great. You're feeling marvelous. Best you've felt in weeks. You eat the potato. Here comes the potato swimming down again. And all of a sudden, here's the dendritic cells. Gives him the pat down and says, it's tater again. In the South, we call them taters. So he sends a message over to the cytokine 911 over the immune system. Tater's in the house. And so they put a big army, big chemicals, and boom, they start attacking tater. What's tater doing? Tater's trying to nourish the body. But tater got labeled by the body as an antigen. Now it's an enemy to the body. We call it a sensitivity. If it's bad enough, we call it an allergy. You get it? Yes. Well then, so here comes the army, and all the X's are being laid down again. And when your little cells are down there again, it finds those areas that it tagged last time with the X's through a process called molecular mimicry. It starts remembering, so it starts putting X's on your bowels again, on your intestines. So boom, we start blowing up again from eating a potato. The body's trying to fight a potato. How are you going to whip a potato? Come on. So because it's being overstimulated, if it does it for years, they call it an autoimmune. The immune system's overworking. Now this is just one way. There's a lot of advantages to do it. It's not just food. Does everyone understand so far? Yes. Okay, so then there's another process. How many people, when you come out of a store, you hate it? I just hate this. People will stand by a door. They can't walk down there. They stand right by the door. If you're going to smoke at your choice, do it down there. There, where I don't have to breathe it. And there's these big blue smoke clouds. Anybody see them? Yes. Right? Why don't they breathe all that cloud up before they leave? Suck that in. Clean up the environment for us. No, there's the blue cloud. And sometimes you're not paying attention. You're talking, and you ever walk through the cloud? It's like, oh. And you walk away and try to clear yourself. The problem is once you smell it, it's in your bloodstream. Yes. Already in there. So, here comes the tobacco, right? And it comes in your system, and here's these dendritic cells swimming around. Pats down that tobacco molecule. It's not supposed to be there. Feels it in the lining and says, aha! He looks on his registry, and the body has an internal understanding on chemicals. And what happens is the tobacco is in the same family called the nightshade as the potato was. It's Tater's cousin. The whole family's in on this thing. What a diabolical plot. So they send over the cytokine to the immune system. The immune system sends the array, releases the army, and boom, the war starts again. Man, you were feeling great. You were in the store just shopping, having a great day. Tater's cousin hits your nostrils, and you're on the ground. You get to the car, and all of a sudden you get chills. You went, oh, maybe I ate something today. Because now that lining's starting to irritate, right? Or maybe you're in the grocery store, and there you are. You're just going to get groceries. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm in the vegetable section, and I want to get to the bell peppers, but there's a potato in my way. So I pick up that potato and move it out of the way. And when I do, it absorbs a little bit of that into my skin. Here comes the dendritic cells. Pats it down and go, Tater's back. He's trying to slip in the back door. So he sends an alert, and all of a sudden comes back all the way through the skin receptors, all the way over here to the immune system. The immune system starts the war. Now all of a sudden you got a rash, you got blisters, you got a breakout, you got hives. And people are living like this fear, and you go to the doctor and they say, oh, you got allergies. Of course you have allergies. Well, that's rocket science. You figured that out. Yeah, my arm's blown up 6 inches high, and I'm scratched until there's nail marks. Yeah, I got allergies. I got that. I knew that when I got here. What do I do? How did it happen? And how do I fix it? Isn't that really what we want to know? Yeah. And so with all this oxidation and all this inflammation in there for years, we have problems. We run into trials. We run into tribulations. And so here's what I want to do. This is what I came to do. Because if you don't understand this, you can't understand the rest of it. Because this causes so many problems in your gut that the gut can't work right. You can't absorb nutrients because you're inflamed. Do you know that your brain runs the body? Everybody agree? We just talked about that. Do you know there are neurochemicals that run your brain? Right? Serotonin, dopamine, GABA. Right? Everybody know all of the brain chemicals? Do you know where they're made? They're not made in your brain. They're made in your... Oh, they're made in your gut. Now they're calling the gut the second brain. Think about it. So now, every time you eat and you have these responses, or every time you're inflamed and any of these responses are hitting you, your brain chemicals are out of balance. You feeling depressed? Feeling anxiety? Do you think it's because you're low on Prozac? Just saying. Other times we need to do bridges and extreme experiences. Of course, I'm not making fun of anyone on medication. You understand that. I'm trying to give you a bridge to get home. And you got to start with the cause. Sometimes we have to do things messages to keep you alive and keep you going. I'm not against any of that. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I mean, a good medical system always has to be intact. But I want you to understand that the acetylcholine, the serotonin, the dopamine, the GABA, these are all brain chemicals that have to be balanced. And so here's what I want to end with, because I want you to think this. First of all, let me just tell you, when you go out to my table, I don't bring big product tables. I don't sell products here at the church because I want you to focus on what I'm doing here. Because I want to change your mind. If I change your mind, we can change your body. And so this is free. It doesn't cost you anything. I just want you to get this. How many people are getting it so far? Now, what to do about it, that's a whole nother couple of hours to tell you what I've formulated and how I use the things of nature to be able to get this done. So I made it real simple. Makes it a lot easier for all of you. When you go out there, there'll be something on the table. There's a little paper that says cleansing.